Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in. Oh! And the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song.
All right.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast, a special edition. We've never had a player on, and I guess technically we're not necessarily having one on today, but this past Sunday I did a story on Anthony Morrow, his upbringing, talked to his mother, just about him growing up in the Charlotte area. And to do that story, in the process of doing that story, I sat down with Anthony Morrow for about 30 minutes or so. He was great. He's, really good guy. I mean, I think his story shows that. If you haven't read it, it's on newsok.com now. And this will kind of go with it. But after I got done with the interview, I mean, he was so good. And I know I told his story within that article, but I kind of wanted the fans to hear him tell his story in a lot of ways. So I figured, maybe just use the audio from that 30-minute interview, throw it up in a podcast, and then, maybe talk about it after. But, I kind of want to give you guys the unfiltered version of it. He's from West Charlotte, kind of the projects in Charlotte. His mother, he's the only child of his mother, lived with her a lot growing up, and she, through working 3 jobs, got him to a pretty prestigious private school, which ends up getting him to Georgia Tech, which ends up getting him to the NBA basically through the shot he developed through this incredible hard work, and then he's able to repay her back. But let's just go to Anthony talking about it. Here's a 30-minute sit-down I did with him. Would have been last week.
Could you take me through a day at Charlotte Latin, waking up? I think you said your mom taking you to the bus stop and bus. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was a grueling day, I guess that's it.
Yeah, it was. I used to wake up at like 6. Mm-hmm. She worked at Division of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah, she said she had like 3 jobs.
She had a lot, yeah. She had that. She had worked for like a cleaning service. Like, used to do a couple like little odd jobs and stuff like that. I used to help her out. But she used to drop me off at the bus stop, which was like 20 minutes from my school, because I live like 45 minutes from my school. So she used to drop me off at the bus stop like 20 minutes from my school, and then she used to go to work. And I get to school.
How long would you say the bus ride?
From the bus stop to the school?
Yeah,
it's like 25 minutes.
Okay, wake up at 6, get to the bus stop at 7.
Let's see, like 7:15. I don't really remember.
Yeah, 7.
And then like you get to school around like 8.
Yeah.
So you get to that bus stop around like 7:25, 7:30. Get to school at like 8 or whatever. I forgot what time school started. Such a long time.
I mean, it's always about 8.
I used to get there. I used to get there like 20 minutes. Just get there like 20 minutes early. The bus used to drop us off like 25 minutes early. I used to go to the gym, shoot some before class, and I used to go to class and just have like got 4 or 5 classes. I was cool with a lot. I'm still close with a lot of people. School was like 97% white.
Yeah.
But they embraced me from the beginning, man. It's just, I was myself. I was scared to go there because I was like, we still live like, in the project. So I was like, I don't think they're not gonna be used to me. I'm not gonna be used to them. So
that was West Charlotte, right? Like high up West Charlotte, and then Latin's like South Charlotte.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep.
Okay. You kind of mentioned it right there, but that first year at Charlotte Latin, they said, talking to Danae Fullwood, he said you kind of, obviously, a lot of kids struggle to the adjustment middle school to high school, but especially you, so far away, probably people you didn't know.
Yeah, it was tough. It's just one of them things, man. I started getting used to, I struggled with the adjustment on the court and like in the classroom and like socially, you know what I'm saying? Like a little bit. But once, as I felt like I didn't want to change who I was. And I really didn't have to, like, within...
Did you kind of fear, at the first, did you fear you kind of weren't going to have to?
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to change who I am, and I don't know if I'm going to be accepted. I don't know if, that's just stuff in my mind as a 14-year-old.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying? I got there, and it was like, within the first few months, it was like, you know, after what, like first like couple months, I was cool. Like, everybody they accepted me. I didn't feel any kind of way about it.
It sounded like Danae probably helped you.
Definitely, he was huge.
Yeah,
like,
because he was like a younger coach.
Yeah, I could relate to him. He was in his 20s, you know, and he came from similar backgrounds. Grew up in Florida, so he was, you know, it was easy to kind of connect with him. So I had like people I could really connect to when I really started feeling like, you know, when I was going through stuff. And that was, and my high school coach, Coach Faulkner, I always talked to him every day too. So I got close with a few teachers that I'm still close with now. And I mean, it was like the hardest decision of my life to, as a 14-year-old, decide like, okay, I don't want to be in like the rest of the people.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to your mom a little bit about it. It sounded like, I mean, she didn't like the public schools.
Yeah, she saw where it was going, like where it is now. She saw it heading that way.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it then. I thought it was, you know, because it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it is now, especially in Charlotte.
How was that, I guess, decision to move you there broken to you by her? I mean, did you have any say in it, or was it just like, hey, this is what you're doing?
Nah, it was just pretty much she made a decision. She said, I'm taking you out of public school. She was like, well, she said, I'm taking you out of South Met. Yeah. She was going to put me maybe in the school Providence, which is on South Charlotte. And it's not far from Charlotte Latin, but it's a public school. It's more diverse, pretty good school, reputation and all that. And I was cool with that. I thought I was going there, you know, because I would still be, you know, in the public school system. Yeah. She's like, no, I want to try to get you in the private school. I was like, I don't know how this is. You hear all your friends telling you what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
It's like horror stories. And I'm like, how would y'all? But I was scared, you know, I was 14, 15, so.
Okay, so get to school, like you said, 8, whatever.
Work out. I mean, I used to shoot a little in the gym.
How about like lunchtime?
Go to class. Lunchtime, I used to eat and then go shoot. You know what I'm saying? I used to hang out with all my teammates. So by that point, it was like, okay, you'll be with your teammates. I had a girlfriend and stuff like that, so I was like, you know, at that point, I was comfortable.
Yeah.
And by like my sophomore year,
I
was always in the gym.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. And then school ends, obviously. It probably depends on if you're in season or not, but you know, typically, let's say you're in season, practice is right after school.
Go eat, like this little Chick-fil-A up the street. Come right back to the gym. Practice started like 4:30 or something like that. Practice, and then by that time, my mom, I had like an old car I was using. I had my dad's old Cadillac. So I was like,
that junior year, senior year?
That was like my sophomore through my junior year or something like that. Okay. My sophomore through my senior year, I had that.
What kind of car was it, you said?
It's like 85 Cadillac. I crashed it. I was hurt, man. I crashed it right by the school my sophomore year.
Like totaled it or just?
Yeah, I totaled it. I mean, it wasn't like, it didn't look total, but it was old. So
yeah.
I hit like a neighborhood sign. It's a long story.
How'd that happen?
My mom was gonna kill me. She, like I was going to my friend's house. I was going to hang with my friends on a Friday, and I was trying to pass his van. You know, I thought I was cool. So the van was driving slow. The exit was like right there though, so I tried to pass it. And I passed the van, I tried to like whip into the neighborhood, and I hit the sign.
Was it like a stop sign or just?
No, it was like a brick sign. It was crazy. My mom had to call my mom.
She take it better than you thought she would?
Yeah, I thought she was gonna kill me. She made me feel bad. Like, why were you going this fast? I wasn't going that fast. I just tried to speed past the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I was going the speed limit, but I was going too fast to try to turn.
If it makes you feel any better, I told my mom's car when I was about 18.
I was hurt because I really liked that car. It was my dad's one of his first cars.
Stepdad or biological?
My stepdad.
Okay.
Oh man, he was pissed. He wasn't that mad though. He really wasn't that mad. My mom was more upset though.
Yeah. What about did you have a car? I mean, was that then you didn't have a car the rest of high school?
I didn't have a car for a while. Then I got a like a 92 Grand Prix, which was on its last leg, and that was pretty good for a while.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, listen. Most of the time you don't have a car, so then
I had that Grand Prix from my junior year until like my sophomore year in college.
Okay, so would you not bus to school when you had the car? You drive there?
Yeah, when I started driving, I was just driving to school.
Okay.
But my freshman year, I was busing to school. So like after school, we go get something to eat. I go with a teammate, and then my mom would pick me up from practice.
At around what, like 7-ish? She said
About
something
like
like that.
yeah, 6, 7 o'clock. 7, yeah, about 7.
Okay, then you guys got to get back to obviously the house, and I mean we're talking about a pretty prestigious academic school, right?
Yeah,
so
it was tough.
It wasn't just go home and do like a little homework and you good.
It was tough, man. It was like I was like, I don't know how to make it through this. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of homework. And it was like a lot of it was like I had to get the tutoring and stuff, so it wasn't like I just went home and knew what I was doing. Like I would have to like study. I never had to study like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like it was different to condition myself to be able to come home and like know, okay, I'm gonna do my homework. I know what time to be done. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna go to bed. I gotta get up at 6, 6:30.
What was the average time you went to sleep? Would you say?
Like 11:30.
Yeah. How about like
12?
How did was a game night different? Because I mean,
that was different because it was like I had to figure out the balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sometimes once I got used to it, I started doing work throughout the day, or like preparing, like doing work 2 days before it was due. So like if I knew I had a game day, it really just helped me prepare for college, like how to manage my time.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And shit, probably prepare for.
And this, it was. And I didn't realize it at the time. It was just like, all right, how am I going to adjust? Because I can't keep going to bed at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning after games. Like I need to like figure it out. So it was like, all right, well, I'll go talk to this teacher and this teacher. I'll get this done. It's due Wednesday, I'll get it done Monday. You know what I'm saying? So like, I can have the rest of the week just to play ball and like study and prepare for stuff in the future. You know what I'm saying? So you know how it is.
Yeah, for sure. She said in general you did pretty well in school, except that she said that she couldn't remember the class, but there was one class that was
in high school?
Tough for you. Yeah. Would you remember?
It was probably math. I forgot. Math was tough.
Yeah.
World history was kind of tough because it was boring.
Yeah.
I hated it. I mean, it was interesting though.
I was kind of the same way. U.S. history was cool, but world history
was crazy, man. U.S. history was cool though. I got like a B in that. I remember my teacher. I forgot her name, but I remember her face.
Yeah.
I liked that. That was my my sophomore year. Then my junior year, I took world history. And I was like, this is something for me. I took it in college. It was even worse. I passed, but it was terrible.
What were the classes you excelled in? What were you good at? And
media literacy, Miss Klein, and English and media literacy.
Yeah.
I didn't like math. It got a lot harder after a while. I really hated it.
Yeah.
But I was always pretty good at it up until like my senior year. But I really like English and media literacy.
Yeah.
Media literacy is just about basically dissecting TV shows, movies, commercials.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I always like that.
Yeah, the reasons behind it and like the subliminal messages.
Subliminal messages, all that stuff.
That stuff, yeah, that is good. I mean, obviously, we've talked about the schoolwork, the basketball work, but I mean, like you mentioned earlier, you helped your mom in some of her jobs, right?
Yeah, we used to have to go clean up this building in Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Which was like 45 minutes from school.
Just on weekends?
Weekends, like Friday night game. After the game, we'll go do it that night, so we wouldn't have to do it like Saturday or Sunday.
So you did it after the game?
Yeah, we used to do that after the game.
So let's say game ends 9, whatever, you go at like
10, we go out there.
Just you two, or do you have like
just me and her? Me and her used to do that. We used to do that like every weekend.
How big was the building? I mean,
it wasn't that big. It was like a little, it was like a business park. So it was like one section of it'll be like different businesses, whatever.
What kind of work was that, like? Vacuuming,
trash,
mopping,
cleaning windows, mopping, cleaning up. Just like normal. It wasn't like hard work. It was just good money for and like extra.
Yeah, time. How long? I mean, does that take?
We had a couple buildings like that we used to clean up. We had to clean another one up that was in Charlotte, but it was probably about 25 minutes the other direction from the school.
Yeah.
We did that like all the time.
So some bonding time with you and your mom, I'm assuming.
Yeah, man. I mean, I hated that shit, man. At the time, man, I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I wanted to do something. I was like, I want her to have to do this. Like, I don't want us to have to come out here at midnight, you know. But I mean, when you look back on it, like she missed those little times. You know, we just had time to spend together. Like, we don't spend as much time obviously now. You know? So that's what I do miss. Those times.
This is stuff that you hate in
like
the
that.
time, but then you get away from it.
Yeah, that's the stuff I do miss, like just the time spent with her like that.
Okay, I mean, obviously you're a hard worker. All right.
It's all right.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Just good. Take your time.
Obviously you're working hard. It sounds like you probably got it from your mom. You mentioned 3 jobs. Like, take me through DMV, cleaning service, and then Avis at one point.
Avis, yeah. Right? That's when I was younger. She worked at the airport.
Avis Airport?
Yeah, Avis, yeah. And she was Avis rental car. It was at the airport. She worked at the rental car place.
Yeah.
And she was she did that for a while. You know, she was in customer service. I always remember like her always having a good customer service job. She was like, my mom's just really smart. More street smart than actual book smart, you know what I'm saying?
Like a people person.
Yeah, she was a people person. Like she just used to know how to read people. She liked being around people. She liked meeting new people. You know what I'm saying? I think that helped me socially once I got to like Latin. Once I got to college, you know, it helped me seeing her be able to communicate with different people. She could communicate with people that weren't in our neighborhood. Like she could talk to white people, rich people, whoever, you know.
You mentioned that she was saying she thought one of the reasons why that you two have such a good relationship is because she was very open with you, communicating with you about life problems, about what she's going through, this and that. I mean, do you kind of remember that being the case?
Yeah, all the time. What she went through, I went through. You know what I'm saying? Like some stuff she didn't. She did a good job of like filtering. Like she did a good job of letting me know what was going on without making me feel like worried.
You were the burden.
Yeah, or something. You know what I mean? Like she didn't make me feel like I had to worry. Like she's like, I don't want you to worry. Like I got it under control. And as you get older, you start realizing like, all right, it's a lot more on her than I realized, than I thought. You know, so it was like, when I got to college, we lost our house. You know what I'm saying? That we got when I was, when you come from bad circumstances like that, then we get a house in a middle class neighborhood. I go off to college for a year. My sophomore year, we end up losing the house, so we go back to the neighborhood. I grew up in West Charlotte.
So you're in West Charlotte through high school?
Yeah, we get a house like my sophomore or junior year. We get a house still on the west side, but it's a middle class neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then we ended up losing that house my sophomore year of college. So we had a house a few years. We ended up losing it. And that messed me up, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like, man, you feel like you're going up, and then that happens, and you realize that, everything not as good as sweet as you. I mean, I always was a hard worker, but that really put me in like overdrive in college, in the classroom and outside the classroom.
Like you wanted to like make it right eventually.
Yeah, I mean, and she was just like, I was like, is there anything I can do, blah blah. And she knew what I meant, and she was like, don't do nothing stupid. She's like, it ain't worth it. I've worked too hard to get you where you at. You don't have to do anything. I'll be all right. We're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying?
So then she lived back in the West Charlotte Project
moved back
area?
to West Charlotte Projects, Kings Park. And we had all that stuff in that little apartment.
Kings Park it was called?
Kings Park.
It was you, her, and your stepdad?
Nah, it was me and her.
Okay. But you have a
pretty... I was with my stepdad. She was with him for a few years. You know what I'm saying? Me and him that's my dad. Like, we closest.
Yeah.
And they're like best friends.
Okay,
they weren't
together. Okay.
Yeah. So like, it was just one of them things where it was tough going back home in between breaks in college and seeing all that stuff in that apartment.
Yeah. Especially because, I mean, you're at Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
it's like
I got my trophies and stuff, and I'm starting.
D1 basketball.
Yeah, it's like you getting all this notoriety and stuff, and you don't even know what's going on at the house. Then my grandmother had a stroke, and that messed me up because she was, somebody I could always talk to.
Your mom's mom.
Yeah. And my dad's mom was still alive at this point. She died like my third year in the league, fourth year. I was with New Jersey, and she died. But I mean, that was tough, going through that in college and high school.
When were you able to, get her the house she needed? Was that probably wasn't Warriors time? Was it New Jersey?
I got her a house. Like I moved her from there immediately. I did that when I was with the Warriors. Like my second year with the Warriors or something like that. I got her that place. It was like a condo. I got her that place, and she was like subleasing it at the time because
Yeah.
But it was nice, and it was in the better part of town. It was a better area, better neighborhoods, gated and stuff like that. So I felt good about that. Then I got her a car. I got her a car and that condo before I got myself a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What car did you get her? Which car did you get yourself?
I got when I first got her car, I got her a Nissan Murano. It's like a truck. It's nice.
Did you have a car at Georgia Tech?
I did, but it broke down.
Was it that 92?
It was a 92 Grand Prix, and then that broke down like my junior year or something. So then my senior year, my mom was going. They were about to give me a car, and they bought it in Charlotte. They were driving it to Georgia, and it broke down on the way to Georgia. Jeez. So I ain't even get that car. I was pissed. So I used to just really drive my girlfriend's car at the time. It was my daughter's mom.
At Georgia Tech?
Yeah. Well, she went to Clark, but I used to drive her car. She used to take me everywhere I needed to go.
Okay, and then how about with the Warriors? You said for a little while, even while you were playing in the NBA, you didn't have a car?
Yeah, because when I first signed with them, you know what I'm saying? Like
it was like a minimum deal, right?
Yeah, it was it was like partial and all that stuff. So it was just like you got to make it through this point. All these different little stipulations. You got to make it to this date to play this day. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to buy.
If you're on the roster January 15th.
All I had was the advance I got from the Ukraine team I had signed with. I had an NBA out clause in the contract. So
they gave you an advance?
They gave me $10,000. I thought I was rich, bro. I spent like $2,000 of it, and then when I signed, I had to get that back. I had to get the $10,000, which is cool.
But you still have that $2,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I had spent some of it because I was like living off that while I was like living in a hotel with Golden State. I lived in that hotel for like half the season. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, and it's connected to the practice facility. It's the Marriott downtown Oakland. So at the time, I had that 37-point game. And I was in a hotel, and I was cool. I was like, I'm fine. I didn't really even want to move. I was like comfortable. I go to the gym anytime I want. I'm right here.
Who paid for that? The
team paid for it.
For the hotel?
They were like, you can keep it the whole year, or when you get comfortable, or when you know you're gonna be here the rest of the year, you can buy an apartment.
When were you financially comfortable?
After I signed with Jersey. You know what I mean? Like I signed 3 years, 12, so I was like, all right. That's when I got my mom a better house, like a real house.
What part of Charlotte she live in?
She lived I don't even know what that's considered, man. It's
from downtown, is it north, south?
I'm trying to think, man. I want to say far, it's like far east.
Okay.
Way out, she lived way out, and it was secluded, you know what I'm saying?
What does she do these days, work-wise?
She do whatever. My mom drove a school bus. So she does a lot of stuff, a lot of work with Charlotte-Mecklenburg system just to be around kids.
Yeah.
She wanted to help them, and I didn't like it because I was like, I don't want you around young teenage kids in public school in Charlotte because I don't want you to be, you know what I mean? Something could happen.
Yeah, even if she's a casualty type.
Yeah, I don't want you to even be. I don't want nobody to try you. I see what people try to do to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that work for the school system. You know what I'm saying? So she do a lot of little odd jobs, man. She worked a lot of little non-profit type stuff. She helped run my foundation. She does like a lot of little stuff like volunteer work. You know what I'm saying? But she has to be doing something. So that was the thing. I had to like humble myself. Like, look, for like a couple years she didn't work. She was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, my dad.
She's like, I'm not like that. She's like, I've been working my whole life. Like, I can't just not work because you. And she's like, I mean, you're not gonna play in the NBA forever. I gotta be doing something for myself.
Plus, keeps the brain active.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's not that old. She's like 54.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's 55 or something like that. So she was like, I gotta be able to still feel like I'm, doing something. I don't want to just sit around. So I'm gonna retire in a few years, but I want to still be able to do some work when I can.
Yeah. How much? I mean, we talked about your hard work. How much of it just comes from her, and also wanting to get her into a better situation?
It's like her and my dad, man. Like, they're two of the hardest working people I ever seen in my life.
What did your stepdad do?
He drives a truck driver. So now, he don't, like, he still works. He don't work as much as he did when I was young. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, beyond that, like, he's the type dude, like, old school, wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, any work around the house. Like, you at his house, every morning you wake up, you gonna smell breakfast, you gonna hear the lawnmower. He not as hard on me now as he used to be. Like, when our first couple of years, I lived with him when I came home in the offseason. Even in Jersey, when I was signed for the 3 for 12.
What part of Charlotte?
He lived in East Charlotte too. Him and my mom lived kind of close to each other.
Okay.
They used to. But I mean, I used to stay with him because I was still. It took me like 3 years to figure out like the house I wanted to buy. And I just bought my house like last year. You know what I'm saying? I tell people that, they like, wow. I'm like, because I'm not just buying a house just to buy it. Like, that's probably that's the most important investment of my life at this point. Like, so I just really bought a house last year. But I used to live with him, but he's tight. Wake up in the morning, make breakfast, cut grass, clean up the whole house, go run errands. All this before like noon. I get home and he get home and I'm like still sleeping all season. You know what I'm saying? But when I was a kid, I used to have to go stay with him on the weekends. It was tough because I used to have to wake up with him and do all that stuff with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It taught me how to. And he had landscaping business, so on the weekends I would work with him. I'd go cut grass, trim hedges, wash cars, whatever I needed to do to make a little money or to help him out. He used to do that all that on the weekend. That's when he was driving the truck like 5 days a week.
How much of what you did there and what you did with your mom cleaning-wise on Friday nights, just kind of, I mean, you pissed off about it at the time probably, but how much of it you think it helps you today, basically? I mean, we're talking
it's 100% direct correlation to, you know what I'm saying?
Your shooting.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, just the focus. And when you see somebody do something every day to make ends meet with no excuses, my mom didn't make no excuses. I rarely saw my mom cry. I rarely saw her really complain about stuff. It was always like, you can't control what you can't control. Control what you can. You know what I'm saying? And when I look back, when people hear my story, they're like, man, dang, it was tough. Like, if you saw where it looked like when I lived in these places, like we lived in Little Rock apartments, which was worse than Kings Park, but it was like literally a 7-minute drive from each other down West Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I mean, back then, it was real. Like, people was getting shot. They was really selling drugs. You could see people selling drugs. Like, look out the window. Like, I ain't realized it until I got older. Like, they selling drugs. Like, dudes just bought drugs on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get used to it. It don't affect you. You know what I'm saying? Until you get older. But seeing my mom, like, maneuver through all that and raise me and work hard like that and move up, even though we lost the house, I'm like, I like you the one. I like you the real person that, needs to get the recognition. Because you didn't get she didn't have a background that I had. She didn't have anybody say, I want to put you in private school. I see potential in you like this. It was different back then. And she had to want that for herself. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I could, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my mom. Like, telling me, you can do this. You should, I'm pushing you to do this even though you don't like it right now. Like, a lot of people I grew up with didn't have that. 2 of my best friends, one of them died. My other one was in jail for strong arm robbery. And this all happened while I was was like a junior, senior in high school. You know, I was like a freshman, sophomore in college. You know what I'm saying? They ain't had nobody, you know, people used to respect my mom where I grew up at, but they used to, you know, I used to get made fun of sometimes because my mom was strict.
Yeah.
But she still was, like, she'd let me hang out. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, she was strict. They knew she didn't play. But it's
like
funny
she
how
picks you up.
Yeah, it's funny how they'll make from your mama gonna do this. You got to be in the house by this time. Your mama came outside and yelled at you because you didn't wash dishes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you were embarrassed at the time, but after a while, like all of them respected my mom.
Yeah.
They all they loved her because all of them wasn't getting that same kind of treatment at home. You know what I mean? Deep down, they probably wanted somebody to do that. You know what I mean? So.
That's how it usually works with teenagers.
Yeah, it kept me in line. It kept me out of the streets, and it kept me like disciplined.
Huh.
You know?
Oh man.
And I didn't realize like a lot of people I grew up with, how much they still ask about my mom. Like Instagram, like people hit me up like every month or so, like at least a couple people hit me up like, yo, how you doing, man? I'm glad to see you doing this. How your mom doing? That's always the second question. How your mom doing?
Huh.
Everybody remember
her. Faulkner was talking about how he still stays in contact with her.
He loved her, man. They loved her. Hey, he was big, man. He was influential just in terms of really discipline. You know, he told me when I was 15, he said, I want to put you through college. I want to help you get to college. I want to help you get a scholarship. It's like, I don't know if you're going to play. I don't know how good you are. I ain't never seen you play before. It's like, I heard you were good for your age, so we're just going to see. You got to earn everything you get. You know, I have a problem with that because that's basically what my mom was. Yeah. You know, my mom was the same way.
All right, man.
All right, man.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks again.
And that was the full 30-minute or so interview with Anthony Morrow. Took place last week. Sorry if the audio quality wasn't fantastic. I'm not great sometimes with the technology. But I thought the content of it was very good, especially from his side of things. It's rare to me, especially, you know, with these Thunder players, to get them to open up about their lives. And I thought he really did to talk about it with me. I wanted to talk maybe 20 minutes or so. Our sports editor, he's been on the Thunder Buddies podcast before. Mike Sherman is here. He kind of helped me through, you know, setting this story up. So what did you've listened to the interview. Were you surprised about how open he is? I mean, we know he's a good guy, but not everyone's that open.
No, but when you have such a sense of pride in where you come from, a sense of pride instilled in you by somebody who raised you the way his mother, Anthony's mother, raised him, people like to talk about that. They're proud of it, and that's really what comes across here. It's just you know, he's proud of who he came from. You know, a lot of folks sometimes when they come from difficult upbringings, they smush those things together. In other words, they have a lot of pride in their neighborhood, and their family. Or sometimes even, oddly enough, there's pride in the neighborhood, not that much pride in the family. That, I think a lot of that is dictated by what happened in the house and what happened in the home. And this story and Anthony Morrow's comments are really a tribute to his mother, who, you know, made him the man he is. So that wasn't surprising to me. I mean, once I heard the story and realized how much she meant to him, I mean, he strikes me as a guy who wouldn't be ashamed of standing up, put the microphone in his hand, 18,200 at Chesapeake Energy Arena, and he'd introduce his mother.
Thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. You could tell right away. I mean, I don't know that he was necessarily pumped up about having to do a one-on-one sit-down interview, but then when it immediately became clear what the subject matter of it was, he was, you know, he probably could have gone another hour.
You know, I know we're sort of in this. You guys operate in a world where right away you understand the limitations of the time you're going to get to interview somebody. You feel and think about things very practically. From my standpoint, when I'm thinking about stories I'd like to read, which is usually just that's where story ideas come from. Or somebody else told me a story they'd like to read. I think of it very ideally. I sort of think
just get unlimited time with any source.
And sort of, well, that has its limitations, but so does the idea of starting off saying
you can't get that.
Exactly. Yeah. Or that they don't want to talk about things. Mm-hmm. And this is it's a difficult thing. I've seen stories sort of, really diminished from the start. Some stories never get talked about because there's an assumption, and it's human nature, that we think how we think about a story or how we might like to respond or talk about, I'm too busy, I'm this, I'm more guarded, I'm private. And we really never know how another person's going to, react. We could ask these same questions or the same opportunity of different people on the team, and we might not ever get to, first base as far as revealing really who they are. The difference with him,
like Russell, I don't think it matters. I just don't think he's going to open up in that sense.
No, it's not. And and Russell's got his reasons. A lot of it is the competitiveness, sort of hardwired into him. But when you hear Anthony Morrow talking about the real rich stuff, I think is when he talks about, I don't have time like that to spend with my mother anymore. And the time he's talking about is when they work together cleaning up an office.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that really resonates with readers, listeners, is because if we've been blessed enough to have parents who pass something along to us, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's the love of working on automobiles. A lot of guys who like to work on their cars, the reason, if you get right down to it,
because their dads or
because their dad or grandfather or uncle or somebody who took a special interest in them, passed that along to them, and they associate it with that time. And so that was really cool to me, hear an NBA player talking about the quality time he misses spending with his mother and how it was really associated with cleaning offices.
Yeah, the part I really liked, it was right at the end. He was talking about, being back in, the West Charlotte project area and how his mom was very strict growing up, and in a lot of ways there are times he'd be embarrassed by it. He's out playing, and everyone else can still be playing basketball or doing whatever they got to do, but she comes out, hey, you need to come inside, hey, you didn't do the dishes, you didn't do that. And at the time, they'd be like, ha, your mom's making you do this. And then as he's growing up, he's realizing they weren't necessarily making fun of me. They were a little bit jealous of me because they wish they had a figure like that in their lives, and how these days everyone that hits him up on Instagram, on wherever, it's like, hey, how's your mom? Your mom was so great. I wanted to, it's the self-awareness by him to realize that and remember how he felt back then and remember how different it is than it actually is, I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I could really relate to that story. I got a very similar story myself. And when you're a kid and it's just you and your mom and you're an only child, it's a little bit of like, gosh, this is kind of beat, this woman is really lording over me, and everybody else might be saying, "Where's Dad?" And just getting disciplined all the time, but only with the eyes of wisdom. And many, for most of us, that the wisdom comes with the years. He's looking back over that and saying, "Man, what a incredible opportunity that was for me."
And driving factor. He's making $10 million the next 3 years to play basketball in Oklahoma City and have the time of his life, and he very easily recognizes that there's no way he'd be here without what she did.
Yeah, and another really sort of interesting part of this, and this comes hard for people. We've had a debate here in Oklahoma City about the quality of schools and
the public school part of it.
Former Mayor Kirk Humphreys got in trouble for recent comments about the gene pool moving to the suburbs, and the way that was expressed on the heels of the OU fraternity
Yeah.
video. Really really regrettable. But the challenges that Oklahoma City Public Schools face, lots of urban school districts, lots of school districts where resources are not as plentiful and have abandoned them or shifted. Some parents have to make some really practical decisions about where they're going to put their kid. And, you know, you could argue that a school district or a school would benefit from having a parent like Anthony Morrow's involved in the school. But she's not going to bet her kid on her ability to turn that school around or affect that school, and she knows what she had to do to work to get him ready, and she wanted some help. And they made a very sort of straightforward, practical decision that this school district is not. And hearing Anthony Morrow talk about it like that, sort of cold-eyed, like school districts are not in great shape. Of course,
she was I talked to her a few times, probably combined 40 minutes or so, and she was very critical of the public school system.
Yep.
Especially, she was saying they were like failing him, and he went to school every day, and she had no idea why they were failing him. And she went, and it was just because a few teachers they didn't enter grades right, and it was a mess of a process. And that's when she was like, finally, like I need to get him away from it.
Very difficult, and that's not, of course, that's particular to each school district. Sometimes from school to school, to class, to teacher, to grade to grade. It's not fair to popularize that and say that's the case and all. But that was an interesting comment, and his awareness of it, and how that could affect his future decisions on. He'll have opportunities, of course, and that his children never had, or I mean, if he ever has children, does he have a family?
Yes, he has two kids.
2 kids. Well, I mean, they'll have opportunities that he never really had.
Yeah.
When he was young, but certainly that his mother earned for him.
And and then the other last kind of thing I wanted to talk about, it was hit on in the story. Maybe I should have hit on it harder, but the 3-point shot, it's his reason. His mom. We've talked about his mom being the reason, but the reason he's in the NBA, just solely from a basketball perspective, is because of how well crafted his shot is. I mean, he's one of the best shooters in the world, and that so much is all the time you spend in the gym and developing it just from a mechanical standpoint. But I thought the interesting part of it is just for him to be able to develop that shot. I thought a lot of it was a mind thing. He's doing homework. He's making sure he's sparsing his time well. Just everything leading up to also shooting in the gym and developing that shot. I kind of think it's an underrated part of a sports skill, is like the other parts of life.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that story is still yet to be told.
Yeah.
I mean, he developed a singular skill that's kept him in the league. That's the singular skill that brought him to Oklahoma City, and the inside the development of that. So often everybody assumes he's a shooter, or he's a this, or he's a that. There's even Russell Westbrook, for all his many athletic gifts, his improvement is a story of work and habits and persistence and staying with something. But then when you add Russell Westbrook in it, there's sort of this element of
athleticism and natural talent.
That puts a multiplier into it that we're sort of
showing itself right now.
Yeah, it's like compound interest that you're seeing now. But the difference about shooting a basketball, and I've always noticed this about women's basketball teams and girls' basketball teams, is that you're far more, as a coach, you can convince girls, it seems to me, to follow the directions on how to shoot a basketball. You can convince, but the problem for a lot of young men is that it's not all that cool. You know what I mean? The technique
of like a perfect looking
of a perfect shot, that takes work. That's craftsmanship. And also it's a little bit of an admission that my natural gifts, that just the me part of this, are not sufficient. In other words, that I have to go and really work at it. And but even so, if you look at the Ray Allen's the Beautiful Game book, I think Chris Ballard or somebody from Sports Illustrated did about basketball, and there was a thing in there that if Ray Allen jumped up in the air and barefooted on the beach for his jump shot, that when he came back down, he would land in the exact same footprint that he took off from. You wouldn't even be able to see anything but that exact footprint. Now, that, of course, is an exaggeration, but it's also an illustration of what a textbook shot looks like. Anthony Morrow, Kevin Durant, of course, they've got their own little
quirks,
signatures to add on that, but the fundamentals of the shot are the fundamentals of the shot. And if you and I would have spent this much time, I know I don't want to, of course, you probably got further down this road than I did, Anthony, but if you and I would have spent that time in the gym and the dedication and getting up that many shots, of course we'd be much better shooters.
I'd be running the OKC YMCA circuit.
There you go. That's right. And that's more than you're doing right now.
Yes,
it
is.
But Anthony Morrow, for him, and just getting inside of that, now what prompted his the question is what created him a desire or willingness to be able to follow that kind of path, and the woman who taught him how to clean offices, to manage a school workload, to make sense of the world. I mean, what they did was they figured out a way. We're gonna do this, and this is gonna make sense of our world. Well, all of a sudden, somebody tossed him a basketball and said, "Now make sense of this." And he's like, "Here's how you do it." He's like, "Okay, I'll do that." So that you can kind of see how those things blend in and made him the man and the shooter that he is.
Yeah. And you hit on it a little earlier, the players nowadays, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole AAU circuit and this and that, but, so many of them grew up with the ball in their hands. The best player pretty much every NBA player was the best player on their team growing up. And the best player usually has the ball in his hands and it's free flowing and he's doing this and that. It's hard to have a guy. Not a lot of guys anymore have like the singular skill or will work on the skill where it's like it's not a ball control skill. It's a coming off a screen, catch, shoot. It's waiting on the perimeter, a catch and a shoot. What he is so good at, what he's shown. I mean, lately, this is a perfect time to talk about it because he's just been incredible as a catch and shooter lately. He's rarely with the ball, bringing it up, even going off the dribble, although he's decent on that little one dribble pull up. It's kind of a rare. It's that skill that Ray Allen catch and shoot, J.J. Redick, Anthony Morrow. It's becoming rarer, I think.
It is rarer. It's part of that is because teams, they put together a team at the college for the first time. The really assembling of a team has to happen at the college level,
which is like you may be good at other stuff, but this is the best skill we need for our team.
You got to let's try to put you in the position to succeed, and we can afford to do that because we've recruited all these other players. Whereas high school coaches, I'm not talking about Oak Hill, or AAU coaches don't have. High school coaches have to take who they get. At Oak Hill, or at the top AAU team, you put together your little team, and everybody in your mind can do everything with a few variances. But in high school basketball, you got to take what you got, and in college basketball, you've recruited people. Now here with the Oklahoma City Thunder, what's really interesting, going back to his quote, which you'll remember better than I did. What did he say about I need them more than they need me, or what?
He's never. This is I think his 7th year in the league. He's been on 5-6 teams. This was supposed to be the first team he'd ever been that was really a playoff contender, and it looks like they probably will make it. So that's what he said. I need them more than they need me.
Well, of course, Oklahoma City has never had a guy coming off the bench like this.
Nope.
Daquan Cook, there was some sort of fantasy that he would be that, but and Daquan Cook, God bless him.
He's not Anthony Morrow.
And he's not, and he was Greg Oden's teammate, at Ohio State. And
yeah.
Okay. We never saw that. We never saw anything approaching that. And in fact, if you want to just watch the last week and a half of Anthony Morrow shooting, this is what a knockdown three-point shooter looks like.
Kevin Martin a little bit. Obviously, James Harden was a ball handler. I don't agree with him coming off the bench. He was not the role Morrow's in. Martin was kind of their sixth man. In a sense, he played like Morrow, but this is just a straight sharpshooter, get on the wing, explode. That game against the Hawks the other day where he just exploded in the fourth quarter, 4 straight threes, won him the game basically. We haven't seen that type of player. And
No.
we definitely didn't last year. That was an issue.
No, and not only that, Anthony, but this guy, because of that role, he's not factored into the equation. I mean, he's not – those three-point shots, while they're needed, they're not counted on and taken for granted in the whole equation of their offense. This is a dimension that Oklahoma City hadn't been able to add to the equation. So when you get that kind of – you get a couple a game, it's sort of nice, and you need a couple. But when all of a sudden it's hitting 4 and 5.
6 in a few games lately.
6 in a few games. Those hit the opponent like a ton of bricks. And they tilt the game. They tilt the game psychologically.
And he certainly adds that with his post 3-point celebrations.
The fans
love it.
These shots really feel like more like 6-point plays. And that's the element. Now, of course, you got him from Harden. You got pull-up ones from Durant and Westbrook. But I'm talking; those are superstar. Those are superstar points. Those are all in the same column, right? These are side piece. These are reserve guys, specialists, and now he's crossing over and giving this contribution at a time when there's no Kevin Durant, there's no fill in the blank. Keep going. So they feel really heavy. And so the answer to his question or his statement, I need them more than they need me. Yeah, that was true when the season started. It doesn't really feel like it's true right now. Right now, the Thunder equation has to have Anthony Morrow, especially given their defensive, just say softness.
It's been such a season with uncertainty and, injuries and guys that are taking criticism but he's been so steady all year. I mean, he didn't shoot that well in January, but there's never been a point this season where I don't think there's been a game really where it's like, man, Morrow's killing him right now.
No, not only that, but he is. We talked about this coming back from lunch. He showed a lot that he's a lot better basketball player than we anticipated for the first couple months.
Sneaky rebounder at times,
and tough, and ability to kind of dribble baseline and pull up about 6 or 7 shoot an 8-footer and kind of tough the ball into the basket.
And like not athletic, but try so hard on defense, and that's a skill that we look at a guy like Jeremy Lamb, who in some ways has a similar offensive skill set. It's certainly not as refined. He's more athletic than Morrow, but his biggest issue on defense, he falls asleep or he doesn't try. Morrow is not a good defender. He's not what you consider a plus-level defender, but he tries so hard.
He's a willing defender.
He doesn't get exposed. Willing defender.
He's a willing defender. He's like right out of Scott Brooks' lexicon. And then there's that thing about him, I don't know, talking to himself or whatever he does.
He punches himself in the face sometimes.
Ginning himself up. It's like, okay, all right, this is a little different.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know, you make a really good closer in baseball. One of these Matt Hrabowski guys. Who
but they say to be a good closer, you got to be crazy.
He's a little off when he gets sort of going. And I don't know what he's talking about or who he's mad about, but like when he hits a big shot, he just really carries on.
You know who loves it? Russell Westbrook loves it.
Yeah.
He loves Anthony Morrow.
Yeah, he's fiery. It's been a great acquisition, and to go back to the Thunder's sort of, we want somebody who fits. We want a high character guy. They really look for people. Byron Mullins was a guy Sam Presti really loved, and he never showed anything here in Oklahoma City. He didn't pay off. It didn't cost him that much. There's a lot of people saying what a draft bust. It was 20-something. They didn't get Roddy Beaubois. And where's Roddy Beaubois right now? I don't know. I mean, he was supposed to be
not in the NBA.
Not in the NBA. And then Mullins has passed on, but Mullins had that. Byron Mullins had that big, tough upbringing. Family homeless for a while, and I'm not saying that he wasn't a quality person because he probably was, but the Thunder really likes guys who have something to overcome and have learned from it, and it's clear Anthony Morrow does. He appreciates what he's got. He plays hard for it. The stories that you told about, paying his mom back in such a big way, that's I mean, that's something so many people can relate to. So people are sort of signing on to the Anthony Morrow thing all kinds of ways. First and foremost, of course, are those megaton threes that he's been hitting.
No doubt about it. Well, that'll be it. I mean, I just kind of wanted to give a deeper look at the Anthony Morrow story. You can read it online if you haven't read the actual print version, newsok.com. I hope you enjoyed the interview with him. I hope you kind of got a deeper look inside a guy who I think in a lot of ways is becoming an Oklahoma City favorite. So we'll talk to you again later this week.
Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.